Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Sachin, and today I'll be presenting something related to art. You know, how we can create some sort of a art or a painting with not exactly neural networks, but using a deep learning framework like PyTorch. Okay, so I was going through this website. There's a website called experimentswithgoogle.com, and you will see I saw this experiment. So let's look at it. So what it is doing. So what it is doing is it will just making a. It is I've given an image as an input and using some shapes, geometric shapes like triangles, rectangles. It is reconstructing this image. Okay, I can also upload any image and try it on my own. So you see, I can just upload any image. Say I upload this image, and in the settings I can set now this is making this image with ellipses. Can you see that after adding ellipses it is creating this picture again. Right, there are various options I can do it with, like rectangles.
So,
Now
audience,
using
all of you
rectangles
are
it will make.
unmuted. So, audience, you are unmuted. Feel free to ask your questions by speaking or by chat. Both options are fine.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
so now I'll just go on my pace. You can stop me and ask any questions. Okay, so I want this webinar to be interactive because I'll dive into, so it is not a very advanced topic, so to say. We'll start from the very basics of machine learning, deep learning, right? So I wanted to do the same task, construct this image. I give an input image and it reconstructs that image. But if you see how this algorithm does it, okay, so see, it puts one square, it puts one rectangle here. Now how does it decide the position and the size and the color of this rectangle? Okay, so what it does is it is going step by step. So it puts one rectangle and it optimizes these parameters. What are the parameters? The height of the rectangle, the width of the rectangle, the color of the rectangle, then the x and the y coordinate of the rectangle. It optimizes such that my target image, this we uploaded a target image. So the difference between this image and the target image reduces. Okay. So now it puts another rectangle, then another rectangle, then another rectangle, then another rectangle. Okay, and it keeps doing it. So these are the number of shapes that are being added. Now it is doing this sequentially. It optimizes for one shape, then takes the image, optimizes for the second shape, then for the third shape, then for the fourth shape. Okay. And it is not using gradient descent. It is using an algorithm called hill climb approach. Okay. So in gradient descent, what we do is we find the gradients of the loss function with respect to the parameter, and we move in the opposite direction of the gradient to decrease the loss. But instead of calculating gradients, it is randomly varying the parameters like height, width, position. So it just does a random search of those parameters and starts putting the shapes step by step. So now I wanted to do it using a gradient descent algorithm and optimizing all the shapes simultaneously, all at once, right? So now if you see how can we do that? Okay, so now this first rectangle, Now, if you see the color of the rectangle in this algorithm, it is taking to be the mean color of that area in the picture, right? And you see the color is suddenly shifting from pink to the background. No, there's a sudden jump in the color. And so we can't calculate the gradient with respect to the parameters. Does Vivek, does everyone have the code with them?
No, you can send the code if you want to send the code in the chat here.
Okay, I'll send it. So if you
So
want
if you
to
want
do
to
it,
do, if you want to minimize the classification loss, Sachin, you can
yeah,
use binary cross entropy loss, no?
it's not
Or
actually a classification problem.
okay,
It is, I am, this algorithm is taking the mean square error of the RGB values.
okay.
Okay. So I'll just share the link to this Colab notebook if you want to do it. No,
Yeah, you'll have to make it open if you want to share it in chat here. Yeah,
yeah.
and you can send the link in chat.
Yeah, I've sent it in the chat. So we'll go through the code, no, step by step. So if you're running the code, make sure you change the runtime to GPU. We'll be using GPU. So what am I trying to do here? So I construct a image, 360 by 360, and so this is, I put in X and Y coordinates to the image. Okay, so this is my X coordinate varying from 0 to 1. So yellow color means 1 and this purple color is 0. And I've given a Y coordinate. So no, it also varies from 0 to 1. Now I convert it to polar coordinates. So how do I do that? R
So I am trying to run the code. Do we have to change any code or just run it as it is in Colab?
yeah, you can run it as it is. So I'm doing it step by step, like similarly you can do it.
But I got an error saying / content bird shape PNG not found.
No,
I
don't
think
run
there's
the
a
entire code right now. Run it
okay.
step by step.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So this has converted it to polar coordinates. Okay. So in this case, I'm plotting the radial component. So my origin is at this top left corner. Okay. And the R values increasing across this diagonal. Okay. And then this is the theta angle. No, so it is going from 0, then it is going negative, no, 0 to minus 90 degrees. So after that, what I do is I want to construct a circle here. Now the equation of the circle is x square, like square plus y square, square root is less than the radius. So that is inside of the circle. So if you see, this is my equation. So you see the circle in between. So you can know, if you're running the code, you can vary these parameters and see. I can increase the radius, I can decrease the radius, right? I can, so all these are my parameters, right? So I can change the x position of the circle. I can change the y coordinate. It's gone up, gone down. Right? Now I can also scale it in different directions. I can scale it in the x direction. It will make a ellipse out of it. Like that. Then I can also rotate it. You see, it is rotating. Then this is a simple circle. Now what I have done is I have added Fourier terms also to it. You see, 3 theta, 5 theta. So it can take other shapes also other than a circle. For example, like right. So why am I showing you this? Because the algorithm we are writing, the model we are creating, it will try to optimize these parameters. It will use these parameters to optimize the loss function, right? So now if you see, the inside of the circle is yellow, the value is 1. Outside this shape, it is 0. And on the boundary there is a transition happening, right? So the function that I've used is, so suppose it was just a circle, right? Then the equation of the circle is radius minus r. R is my polar coordinate, the radial coordinate. R is the radius of the circle I'm giving, and divided by the radius. So at the center of the circle, this value is 0. R is 0. So before that, I am doing few transformations. Okay, I do a translation. So I define the origin. Origin is at pos x and pos y. Then I also rotate my coordinates using this parameter. Then I scale them in x and y directions. Okay. Then I take the polar transformation. Now, just at the boundary, the value of this thing is filter values. At the boundary, the value is 0. And at the center, the value is 1. No, at the center, this r is 0, so radius by radius is 1. And at the boundary, the value is 0, because radius will be equal to r will be equal to radius. Okay. then I'm doing a tan h of it. I'm applying a activation function. Right, I'm doing 5 into this value into tan h. Right, this is the graph of tan h. So if you see y equals tan hyperbolic of 5 of x, so my value goes from 0 to 1. Okay, so my x goes from 0 to 1. And if you see, this transition is happening, this gradient is present, the slope is present just in the till 0.2 till 0.3 you can say. Okay, and otherwise the curve is flat, so there is no gradient here. The gradient is present just here. So if you see this shape that we're seeing here, so this transition, this blue color, is just in the outer 20-30%. Okay, so now let's try doing something. So now I just wrote this article on Medium, and let's see this. So now what I want to do is I want to, so for example, I was varying the parameters here, right? Suppose I want to make a ellipse. I want to make a ellipse of this shape, no, a tilted ellipse. So what I'll do is I'll decrease the radius a bit, right? Now scale it in y direction. Now I'll just rotate it. All right. So I'll get that ellipse that I want. So now I'm doing this manually, but I want the algorithm to do it. Okay. So what I'll do is I have given the algorithm this image, and I am putting a circle inside it, and I want the algorithm to learn this ellipse. Okay. So I just put a small circle in the center, and slowly it will transform into that ellipse. All right. Any questions till here? Okay. So now let's try doing this for one of the shapes. So this is the model that does it. Okay, so these are all the parameters. Okay, the x position, the y position, the radius. Then if I am Fourier terms, the weights, this is scaling in x and y direction. This varies the color, and this is the rotation. Okay, so I take a target image, and then I'm doing these transformations. Now I translate it, then I rotate the coordinates, then I scale them in x and y directions, then convert them to polar coordinates, then add Fourier terms if any. Now then the same, calculate those filter values, then do the transformation, right? So I'll upload some image. And let's make this star.
Audience, are you able to do the workshop? All of you are unmuted, so feel free to speak or chat.
So now I have given this this image. This is my image, and now we'll optimize it, right? So create a folder here. What it will do is I'm running this for say 1000 epochs, and every epoch it will save the image, no? So that we can make an animation afterwards. So it will saving the images in a folder called images. So we just make a folder. Then just run the code. So what is it doing in the code? No, it has it takes the circle, takes one of the shapes, the sort we have created here, and then it calculates the RGB value. How does it calculate the RGB value? So it takes the target image and the area over which that shape is present. It takes the mean of RGB values and assigns that color to that shape. Okay. Then it constructs the output image. So what finally what I'm doing is I'm just taking a pixel wise difference, square and mean, and the RMSE loss I'm taking, right? So then the optimizer. So optimizer I'm using is a Adam with the weight decay. Right. So the algorithm has run, and this is our output. Okay. This was our input, and this is the output. Now it is just, it has saved all those 1000 frames in this folder. No. Now we're just constructing a video out of it. So you see, I started with a small circle, then it has, within very few epochs, it has approximated the shape. Correct. So I was using a lot of Fourier series terms here, looks like. Now I'm using 50 terms. Okay, so there are more examples here. So in this article, I've given a lot of examples. So I gave it a heart-shaped figure. It slowly approximates it. So how it does is, you see the border is where the transition is happening, right? So the RGB value is given proportional to the filter value. So if you look at the code, the RGB value, these filters to, so this is the filter value. Then I apply a TANH activation function. Then, so inside the circle, the value is 1 and outside it is 0. But on the transition, it is varying from 0 to 1, right? It goes from 0 to 1. So what happens is, now say, let's take a point which is a 0.5, and the color of the shape is white. So this boundary acts as a sensor, right? So if this point is on a region in the image where the color is black, right? So the shape will contract. But if this point is on a region where the color is the same as the color of the shape, then it will expand. Then it will move up the gradient, else it will move down. So this is how the shape is getting adapted to the target shape. Now, if you look at this video, it starts with a small circle. Now it sees that there is, or I'll show you the image I was using. So this is our target image, right? So when the circle is in the center, it sees that on the boundaries, the only white color is present, right? So it expands. So the moment it touches the boundaries and it senses there is black, right, it will stop expanding. So in this shape, I did not activate the Fourier terms. So it can only make a ellipse. It can't make that heart shape, right? So in the next video, I added Fourier terms to it. So let's see what happens. So slowly the image changes into this thing, right? Similarly, this is a triangle. Okay. So this was for a single shape, no? But for constructing a complete picture, no, to make a sort of a painting, we need to put multiple shapes into it. Okay, so the entire code is the same. No? Instead of one shape, now we'll put some around 500 shapes and see what happens. Let's upload some image. So this is our image. So we want to make this image. Right? We'll just put in the name of the file. Now this is the optimizer. So what it does initially is it will just randomly, so you see X and Y positions, and these are randomly, so it will take 500 shapes, randomly throw them into the picture, randomly assign X and Y positions. The radius is also initially randomly. The Fourier weights, sine and cosine. So I'll just switch off these Fourier terms. I will just construct this image with ellipses. So everything is switched off. So my filter values are just radius minus r. Then I take a 5 into this into tan h. Now, when I'm putting multiple shapes, there will be overlaps between shapes, right? So I give a weight to each shape, which is given with this thing calculates the area of the shape. No, so the bigger circles go into the background and smaller circles come in the front. So I'm using 500 shapes here. Okay. So this piece of code assigns the color to each of the shapes, right? Now this is the output image. So this is a list of 500 filters, 500 shapes, and it multiplies each of them with their respective RGB value. Okay. Now this is the loss that I am using. Then it does a few other things. I'll explain you. It will run this for 300 epochs. Let's see. So meanwhile, does anyone have any questions? Like, are you trying out the code? Vivek, do you have any questions? Like,
Yeah, Sachin, why don't we discuss the algo in the blog itself? The blog had a nice description of your custom algorithm.
yeah, so we can move to the blog.
Yeah, if you can just explain how you're doing the algo from beginning to end.
Yeah. So now you are, if you have understood till this point, we are using just one shape and no making this ellipse. Now, for example, we want to make this image, right? So what I'm using is I have 500 ellipses I'm using, right? So if you look at this animation on the one on the left side, so it will initially just randomly throw yeah, you see this? So initially it is just randomly throwing all these circles here. Then all of them are getting optimized at once. Similarly, this example here. So now I'm using 1000 ellipses here. So it will go till 300 epochs. So so once it has constructed the image, I do a few other checks. No, if two shapes are overlapping, or if there is a more than 70% overlap, and the color difference is very less between both the shapes, so I just remove one of the shapes from there. Okay. Then what I check is there any shape which is not getting used, no, which has been covered by other objects, or the radius is very small, right? Then another thing that I check is if there are areas in the image where the pixel difference is very high. I just check those areas. Then I just throw those unused shapes on those areas where the pixel difference is high. No, it means though if the pixel difference is very high between my image I'm constructing and the input image, it means it needs more shapes, more objects and there. Okay, this is what it does. So finally this code has run. Let's look at how it looks after 300 epochs. So this is, if you see, this is what is that it has made. So this was our input image, right? See, this was the input image and this is the output. Pretty close. So now let's look at, we ran it for 300 epochs. So it will just make an animation to you. Video, we have saved it here. You see, it is just throwing circles there. Then slowly they're getting optimized. Now the position of each circle, the scale in X and Y directions, the rotation. Changes happening here, there. Now this is how the algorithm was doing it. But if we want to see it in this format, just shape by shape, one shape over another shape. So what was the order of the shapes in which this was made? Okay. If you're running the code, just create a new folder here. Images 2. So we had used 500 shapes here, so it will create 500 frames. One frame for every shape. From 0 to it goes till 500, 499.
Sachin, this code is quite intricate, no? Very hard to understand. There are a lot of low-level coding going on, right? Because of all the shapes and manipulation.
No, it is actually very small if you see. It is not intricate. See, in this here, I'm just preparing, what do you say? This is the equation for every shape, right? Radius minus r. So every shape has a different radius.
Could you use higher level APIs to optimize the code look and feel? You are using a lot of low level Python code and PyTorch code,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, I haven't made
high
it
level
modular in terms
APIs
of
available?
functions and all.
Mm-hmm.
But the number of steps which
So
are
for
happening are very small actually.
fair enough, for geometric coding, are there high level APIs available or not available?
I don't think so.
Like ready-made APIs
just
from
doing,
PyTorch or Python itself for geometric manipulation, no?
yeah, there must be. I haven't explored like translating and
Okay,
rotating.
okay. Yeah, you have done a lot of low-level coding. I can see that.
Yeah.
So it is very easy for one to sort of get confused on this code, no? I mean, which is
If you understand the maths behind it, if you understand the maths behind
Mhm,
it, then it is simple. So the actual code is till here only. Then I'm just doing some checks here. No, I can make a function of these steps, a separate function for this, for this, for this.
mhm.
Then it will look more clean. But the code is very short actually. If you see
Okay.
something like a style transfer, right? Neural style
Mhm,
transfer. There is a huge CNN that we use, right? There are so many
mhm,
layers in that CNN, VGG16. It is doing something similar, but we are not
mhm.
using a neural network, right? In neural network, we just import that neural network, VGG16, right? So all the manipulations, calculations
Yeah,
are happening
even
in
there,
neural
if you
network.
use low-level code, it becomes quite intricate. I agree with that.
It becomes quite
Even in
intricate. But here I'm showing all the steps. Every calculation is happening in a
mhm,
line of code here. Because the
mhm,
calculations are very few as compared to a style transfer code.
mhm.
If you look at the
Even
parameters, so
when you
let's look at,
implement a gradient descent with low-level Python code, it's quite long code. But then we
yeah,
just
yeah.
use
So if
high-level
you see,
sklearn API.
true. So I'll tell you another thing. So if you see this image here, this is a 360 cross 360 image, right? So how many pixels are there? 360 into 360, right? So 1,29,000 pixels are there in this image. Now, if we look at how many shapes we are using, we're using 500 shapes, right? And how many parameters are there for every shape? There is a x coordinate, there is a y coordinate, there is a radius, there is scaling in x and y directions. Then there are no scaling factors for colors, 3 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3, 8, 9 and 10. Just 10 parameters for every shape, right? So what we are actually doing is 500 into 10, which is 5,000. So if you see, we have compressed the image from these many values to just 5,000 values, right? So there's a huge compression which has happened from this to this. So all the very fine features have gone. So all these small lines and all, and we get this image. So it is sort of a pixelated image, but it is not actually pixelated. It is made up of circles. So get the point. So it is sort of compressing that image. It can be used for image compression also. So suppose you are loading this image on a website, no, and you can load it. This will take less data to load. Only 5,000 parameters. This has these many parameters. If you look at actual compression of images also, if you look at a JPEG image, how is this image stored in a computer, right? So what it does is it does a FFT, image FFT. No, this image is not stored. These many pixels are not stored actually in a JPEG format. This is first a Fourier transform is done on the entire image, and only important higher order, no, just the important parts of those Fourier series are stored. So yeah, so we have this ready. So we had 500 shapes, right? So you see, first bigger ellipses are coming, big ellipses. Now this is the center of the flower. Then smaller circles are coming. Now I can look at individual shapes also. So that will give more clarity. Okay. So you see, these are 500 shapes that I used, and I'm just checking which one is the biggest. So just I'm sorting them by their area. Just taking a sum of this gives a measure of filters to not. So this shape number 99 has the maximum representation in the image. So let's look at it. Mhm. Not 99, 482. So you see this, this is one of the shapes, and this is the part that is getting used here of that shape. And what was the actual shape? If I look at this, so this is before the this is, if you look at this, this is after applying the activation function. Then it assigns a weight to every shape. Okay, and then accordingly those weights are combined and it shows. So this was the actual ellipse, and only this part of it is visible in the picture, because all other parts have been, no, there's another ellipse over it, there's another ellipse here, there's another ellipse here, it is getting covered. Similarly, there was one big ellipse here. But if you look at the entire thing, oh, this thing, entire thing is here, right? Then this is, we have done it with ellipses, no? Then if we switch on the Fourier terms, this is just making random shapes, no? Random appropriate shapes and throwing it. We can also make it with specific shapes. No, suppose I want to make it with triangles. What I can do is, I already have, like, fitted a triangle. So you see this triangle here. So now I know the equation of this triangle. Like the equation of the circle was, like the radial coordinate should be less than the radius. So while fitting this triangle, I have saved the Fourier series weights, right? So I can fix these weights. No, I won't train upon these weights. I'll fix these weights. Then the image will get created with these triangles, right? So that was it. Any questions you want to ask? Any suggestions? Anything?
Okay, audience, any questions?
So this is just a very basic, what do you say? I just started with it and took me like 1 or 2 weeks to write this. But I see it can have a lot of applications. For example, in say, I'm just optimizing for a single image. So the next idea that I have is, which I'm going to try out, is now these. If you've heard of autoencoders, no. So what we do in an autoencoder is we input an image. It passes through the encoder encodes the image, then the decoder decodes the image, right? So now you can consider this entire process as decoding. So this is my encoding actually. Say I have 500 circles, 500 shapes, and these are the parameters. So I have 5,000 numbers. Now using 5,000 numbers, I can construct an image. For example, we made this flower. So I have 5,000 parameters, which I can take as an encoding. Now I know how to use these 5,000 parameters, then decode them and make this image. Now using some CNN, I can make an encoder. So I input an image, get the output as 5,000 numbers, and then use those 5,000 numbers like this to make this image, right? So I can directly make a autoencoder where I input an image, take out the decoding is 5,000 numbers, then I construct the image again. Now if I train it on sufficient number of images, it can become an autoencoder. It will just input an image and it will throw out another image which will be constructed out of these geometric shapes. Or this can also be used in image segmentation. I want to say segregate different regions of the image with different colors. So in all these areas, this can be advanced. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so audience, any final questions? Okay, thanks Sachin. Thank you audience for joining, and we'll see you in our future webinars. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, Vivek.